Hello, everybody. How's it going today? I'm so glad you're with me today. I'm going to try to get some more light on here. There we go. Now you can see me and I can see you. Welcome. We are back for another Bible story reading. For those of you who are joining for the first time, let me explain what we do here. We go through the different stories of the Bible. This is for people who don't know the stories. Maybe you've only heard what somebody else has told you about them, but you've never really heard the whole story yourself or read it for yourself. Maybe you've read them, but it's been a long time and you have forgotten them. We go through these Bible stories so that you have an opportunity to know what they say and speak about them intelligently. Instead of thinking you know what it says, you actually know what it says. I want to let you know how we do this. We record live on Facebook. If you are watching one of these videos on YouTube, please go and hit the like and subscribe button. And when we have enough subscriptions, we can go live on YouTube as well. But for now, we go live on Facebook and then we upload to YouTube. And you can catch us on our Facebook page if you want, just by going in and searching for Get Clear Teachings, and you'll find us there. We've been going through the story of David. If you remember, yesterday's story was pretty exciting. David's son Absalom killed his half-brother Amnon, because Amnon had raped Absalom's sister Tamar. And now Absalom has gone on the run. He's left, and David has been missing him. It's been 3 years. David was missing him, so he summons Absalom to come to him. He misses him. And we are going to pick up now in 2 Samuel chapter 15. So let's get started. After this, Absalom got himself a chariot, horses, and 50 men to run before him. He would get up early and stand beside the road leading to the city gate. Whenever anyone had a grievance to bring before the king for settlement, Absalom called out to him and asked, "What city are you from?" If he replied, "Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel," Absalom said to him, "Look, your claims are good and right, but the king does not have anyone to listen to you." He added, "If only someone would appoint me judge in the land, then anyone who had a grievance or dispute could come to me, and I would make sure he received justice." When a person approached to pay homage to him, Absalom reached out his hand, took hold of him, and kissed him. Absalom did this to all the Israelites who came to the king for a settlement. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. When 4 years had passed, Absalom said to the king, "Please let me go to Hebron to fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. For your servant made a vow when I lived in Geshur of Aram, saying, 'If the Lord really brings me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron.'" "Go in peace," the king said to him, so he went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent agents throughout the tribes of Israel with this message: "When you hear the sound of the ram's horn, you are to say, 'Absalom has become king in Hebron.'" 200 men from Jerusalem went with Absalom. They had been invited and were going innocently, for they did not know the whole situation. While he was offering the sacrifices, Absalom sent for David's advisor, Ahithophel, the Gilonite, from the city of Giloh. So the conspiracy grew strong, and the people supporting Absalom continued to increase. Then an informer came to David and reported, "The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom." David said to all the servants with him in Jerusalem, "Get up. We have to flee, or we will not escape from Absalom. Leave quickly, or he will overtake us quickly, heap disaster on us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword." The king's servant said to the king, "Whatever my lord the king decides, we are your servants." Then the king set out, and his entire household followed him, but he left behind 10 concubines to take care of the palace. So the king set out, and all the people followed him. They stopped at the last house, while all his servants marched past him. Then the Cherethites, the Pelahites, and the people of Gath, 600 men who came with him from there, marched past the king. The king said to Ittai of Gath, Why are you also going with us? Go back and stay with the new king, since you're both a foreigner and an exile from your homeland. Besides, you only arrived yesterday. Should I make you wander around with us today while I go wherever I can? Go back and take your brothers with you. May the Lord show you kindness and faithfulness." But in response, Ittai vowed to the king, "As the Lord lives and is my Lord, the king lives, wherever my Lord the king is, whether it means life or death, your servant will be there." "March on," David replied to Ittai. So Ittai of Gath marched past with all his men and the dependents who were with him. Everyone in the countryside was weeping loudly, while all the people were marching out of the city. As the king was crossing the Kidron Valley, all the people were marching past on the road that leads to the wilderness. Zadok was also there, and all the Levites with him were carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. They set the Ark of God down, and Abiathar offered sacrifices until the people had finished marching past. Then the king instructed Zadok, "Return the Ark of God to the city. If I find favor with the Lord, he will bring me back and allow me to see both it and his dwelling place. However, if he should say, 'I do not delight in you,' then here I am. He can do with me whatever pleases him." The king also said to the priest Zadok, "Look, return to the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, your son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. Remember, I'll wait at the fords of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." So Zadok and Abiathar returned the ark of the Lord to Jerusalem to stay there. David was climbing the slope of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he descended. His head was covered, and he was walking barefoot. All of the people with him covered their heads and went up weeping as they ascended. Then someone reported to David, "Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom." "Lord," David pleaded, "please turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness." When David came to the summit where he used to worship God, Hushai the Archite was there to meet him with his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go away with me, you'll be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and tell Absalom, I will be your servant, your majesty. Previously I was your father's servant, but now I will be your servant. Then you can counteract Ahithophel's counsel for me. Won't the priest Zadok and Abiathar be there with you? Report everything you hear from the palace to the priest Zadok and Abiathar. Take note, their 2 sons are with them, Zadok's son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. Send them to tell me everything you hear." So Hushai, David's personal advisor, entered Jerusalem just as Absalom was entering the city. Wow. That's the end of chapter 15. We just read a lot, and this is a tricky one for us to unpack. Remember, there are 3 ways that we look at these stories when we read them. What does it say? We have to have reading comprehension. We have to know the words on the page. If you don't read these stories, you don't know what they say. Next, what was it saying to the people of the time? We have to take everything into context. We have to understand what's going on, what was happening then, the audience that it was written to and about. And last but not least, what, if anything, is this saying to us today? All right, so what we just read is that Absalom, after spending 4 years back at the palace with David, after being there in Jerusalem, he stands outside of the gate. And when people come for something that they need judgment about, maybe they've been wronged by someone and they want the king to make it right. Well, Absalom stands outside and he says, "Oh, what are you here for?" And they tell him their grievance. And he says, "Oh, well, if only the king would have made me judge. You're right. You do have a grievance. It's too bad that nothing's going to be done about it." And so slowly he starts winning the hearts of the people. They really like him. He hugs, he kisses them, he pulls them in. He's like, he makes them feel as if he really feels sorry for them. He's empathetic and sympathetic towards them. So he wins the heart of the people. And then he tells David, he says, "Look, let me go back to that place that I was hiding out when I had run from you. Because while I was there, I made a covenant with God that I would worship there." And David says, "Well, okay, sure, go ahead and go." And so Absalom goes. And lots of people go with him, and he makes up this, he conspires, and he says, look, when I get to Hebron, blow the ram's horn and get everybody all excited, and then go tell David they've made him king in Hebron. So that's what happens, and somebody goes and tells David that all of the people are rejoicing because they've made Absalom king of Hebron. David knows that Absalom has now conspired to take the throne away from him, and he says, we need to get out of here. He's going to come back, and he's going to kill us, and we need to escape, everybody now. And so they leave, they're on their way, and as they're going, people are mourning because they're like, oh no, we've lost our king. And so people are just so upset, and they're mourning, and his servants are upset with him. So he goes, and as they're on the way, he's trying to get to this place where he's going to go hide out, he's going to worship the Lord. And there is Zadok and Abiathar. Now they've got the Ark of the Covenant, and Abiathar, the priest, they're going to stay with David. And David's like, no, you're going to do me more good if you go back to the palace and kind of be my spies, and go ahead and work for Absalom and counteract the counsel that he's getting from this guy called Ahithophel. Ahithophel is going to give him bad advice. And David prays, he says, God, please give Ahithophel's regime foolishness, turn them into foolishness, kind of confuse them, and don't let them win, basically. So he convinces them to go ahead. Sorry, got a call coming in, people. He convinces them to go back and start being their spies, kind of send people back with word for him. One of the things that we see from this story is such devout, people were very, what's the word I'm looking for? They were very loyal to David. They loved David, and David loved them. And he saw no sense in trying to fight against his own son. He wasn't going to fight against his own son. He's like, we need to just get out of here. We need to just go. And he uses some wisdom in telling these people, go back. There's no sense in you going with me and just wandering around here. You may as well go back and sit under your new king. So they do, but their hearts are really with David. And we see a lot of loyalty there. There's so much to learn in this story. This is such an action-packed story. And it gets even better. It gets better or worse. There's more tragedy to come, as there often seems to be. But we really see David's true personality here. Yes, he had made a mistake with Bathsheba. Yes, he had had Uriah killed. Yes, he's made some mistakes. But this is the David that we've all known and come to love. He is the David that, look, if this is God's will, this is God's will. If God has favor on me, he'll let me go back and see the ark again. If not, oh well, God's still God. God is in control. And this is just a wonderful story, and it's going to get a little bit more action-packed as we go on. So I hope you learned something today. This story may be new to a lot of people. I hope you learned something today, and I look forward to us being together again the next time. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you.